Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is CJ. Welcome back to episode 33 of the Innovative Marine 75 EXT Reef build. We're going to dive into a few things this update, so make sure you tap in, stay tuned. I got a surprise at the end of the video. Now, before we get going too far, I did pick up a new item for the Be Easy Reef. It comes from Squidly.com. This is going to be an aquarium grabber with multiple heads and different attachments that you can use. And one of the dopest parts about it is that you can swivel it. So, in efforts of keeping my hands out of the tank, this is definitely going to be a much needed addition as far as tools. And as you guys can see, it definitely lets you reach all over the tank, which is pretty dope. 24 inches is the one I have, so it allows me to get all in the tank. And if I remove the lid, I can definitely get all over the tank. So the mission for this is going to be just removing, any dead items from the system, including, unfortunately, we had 2 casualties to the urchins that I added, but we're going to replace these guys later in the video. But for now, I just want to kind of show you guys this cool tool. If you're interested in one, squidly.com, go check it out. For me, definitely glad that I picked it up. Now, for those that were curious, this is going to be what we removed from the Be Easy Reef. These are going to be 2 dead tuxedo urchins. This is my first time ever keeping them. These guys lasted maybe a few days, not sure what went wrong, but they basically turned into tumbleweeds blowing around the Be Easy Reef. You guys know I have tons of flow, and these little empty carcasses, if you want to call it that, were definitely just on display. So had to get these guys out and gave a great opportunity to try out this new tool. So let's continue on with this update of the Be Easy Reef. And we're going to start off with a couple of different angles that I actually enjoy looking at the system. This under the overhang kind of side shot of the tank, it really gives the perception of depth and makes the tank look a lot bigger. I really enjoy looking at the system from different angles because honestly, depending on how you're looking at it, it looks like a totally different tank, including this shot here. So, this update, we're going to include a few different angles of the system, and honestly, not too much bad news. Besides trying to manage, nutrients and trying to manage the consumption of the tank, whether it's alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, or the trace elements, which I discovered were a little low per my last ICP test. I mean, we're just kind of chugging along. So there's not really anything crazy going on right now worth noting. I think the tank is finally starting to kind of stabilize and get to where it needs to be. But it still doesn't mean we don't have opportunities for improvements to help that, consistency stay consistent. So we're going to move along to the next part of the video, and it's going to include an upgrade to the Kalk stair on the Be Easy Reef. And the upgrade we're talking about is going to be coming from Avast Marine. Now, they actually sponsored and sent this out to me, so shout out to Avast. I appreciate you all. They sent over the DIY Kalk stair kit, which basically is their Kalk stair in a box with all the parts, and they send it to you with instructions on how to assemble it yourself. I believe it saves a little money as far as the overhead cost of you ordering it pre-assembled. So why not, give it a shot and see if CJ can do things the manual way. And after I watched the videos on their site, I figured I would go ahead and kind of give you guys a quick idea of what you can expect if you decide to pick up one of these kits. So it's the part of the video if you are interested in, putting this together yourself. This is kind of what it looks like step by step. Well, kind of step by step. I kind of combined what they had on their site with my own idea of the order you should do it to kind of save some time. But the kit comes with everything you need, with the exception of PVC glue if you don't already have some on hand, which most people do. Hot glue gun, which, if you already have, you're good to go. And then a couple of wood blocks if you have them for a support. And then that's pretty much it. And, as long as you have those things around the house, you pretty much are good to go. And the steps are pretty simple. It starts off with just PVC gluing all of the unions and attaching them to the body of the actual stair. And then they include the acrylic glue, which is something I've never used before. This was a first for me. I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but following the instructions on their site, I learned that, just put as much as you can in the little seam where the tube fits on the body, and then glue it and let it cure overnight. That was the part of this that kind of delayed it. Honestly, if you didn't have to let it cure, you can probably build this stair, within 30 minutes to an hour or less, depending on how skilled you are with, do-it-yourself things. but for me, wasn't too bad. I did combine the steps of gluing the body to the tube and then also gluing the motor housing to the lid. Did that all in the same day and just let them both cure overnight. And then as far as attaching the motor, included screws, just screw it on top. Not too bad at all. Then it has a little rubber grommet that you put it through here, and that's pretty much where the power cord goes through. All in all, I don't think this process was really too difficult. I got to admit, when you first open the box, it may seem intimidating. You got this big plastic bag of different, acrylic cutouts you have to peel off, the manufactured covers and different things that are on them. But once you set it all out and you kind of put it together in your mind first, you really see it's really not that difficult. Now, I'm not an engineer, I'm not an electrician, I'm not someone who, is trained in any of these things. So this is basically a novice, amateur at best, putting this together. So if I can do it, I have no doubt that you will also be able to complete this mission. And even like cutting off the blue wire kind of reminds me of one of those movies when you're trying to disable a bomb, the red, black, or blue, which one do you cut? Don't cut the wrong one. Boom, we all dead. That's kind of what it felt like. But after you get this done, tucking it in, gluing it, and then using the hot glue gun to kind of seal it is all you need. Now, I did do a test run to make sure that all my professional electrician work worked. As you guys can see, we had plenty of motion from the motor and the head unit. So all of that's good. So now all we got to do is hot glue gun to seal the top. Now, they recommend a hot glue gun just in case you ever have to replace the motor in the future. I think that's a step worth mentioning to make sure you don't accidentally seal that with the acrylic glue, because once you do that, it'll never come loose. But after this, we pretty much got all of the main things done. Now it's just attaching the rest of the accessories that come with it. And by accessories, meaning the valves and different things you need to actually feed the stirrer. And then the stirrer itself, they recommend sanding the end of the pipe so it fits in pretty tight. As you guys can see, it works just like a charm. And then just attaching everything else. So, once you get past the parts of gluing, then everything else is pretty straightforward. Screw in a screw here to the rod, get everything tight, make sure everything is plugged in, and then finish the assembly of the Kalk stirrer. So I know this is something that most people probably don't want to have to do. Personally, I probably would have preferred for it to come pre-assembled, but it's nothing like a good challenge in the hobby. I feel like the hobby is a hobby within a hobby within a hobby. And just like me building my auto water change in the future, which is going to be coming, this is all things that in the end is going to benefit the tank. It's going to benefit the stability and hopefully, benefit my success as being a reef keeper. So putting the final touches on it, got the sticker, and we are good to go. Completely assembled the Avast K1 Kalk stirrer. We'll get back to the Kalk stirrer a little later in the video. For now, let's get back focused on the main display. And by that, I'm talking about this nasty, unsightly hair algae, which is still present in the Be Easy Reef. Now, if you guys recall, this algae was grown purposely when I was fighting the dinos. In doing so, purposely raising the phosphates, nitrates, nutrients in the system that kind of outcompete them, which worked. But now we're having to slowly, painfully lower the nutrients in the system with water changes and then manually removing the algae from the Be Easy Reef. My hope is manually removing it, each time it becomes less and less, and slowly but surely, we have been dropping the nutrients in the Be Easy Reef down to a more manageable level, which is where I kind of want it to be. As you guys see on the graphs, I've been manually inputting this with the Hannah Checker results into Neptune Fusion, which gives you a nice graph where you can look back over the last year, month, whatever set points that you put in here. And you guys can see the trends are going downwards. For the phosphates, we're finally down to around 0.11, which is way better than 0.5, which was the high point during the dino issue. So we're going to try to lock it in there. We're going to try to leave the nitrates around 15 or so parts per million, which is where they are. So all is well. So now that we got the nutrients in check, it's time to recruit some additional help for the hair algae. And by additional help, we are reintroducing a huge army of hermit crabs. Now, I ended up getting a bunch of red leg hermit crabs like 40 or 50 is what we're going to be adding. And I also picked up 2 additional urchins. Now, as you guys seen earlier in the video, first 2 attempts at ever keeping tuxedo urchins failed miserably. But, if you fail once, dust yourself off, try again. But this time, I'm going to try to do it a little bit better, meaning instead of just temperature acclimating them and putting them into the system, I'm going to try to actually acclimate them with the aquarium water a little more. Then do a drip, just kind of poured a couple cups of water in here slowly over around 15 or 20 minutes before I added all of these guys to the tank. As you guys can see, everybody is lively, everybody's ready to do their job, or at least I'm hoping they're ready to do some kind of help managing the hair algae issue in the Be Easy Reef. So for those that were curious, my cleanup crew in the Be Easy Reef has kind of been deplenished and killed off by wrasses and dinos and different things over the last few months. So I've never really dropped this many crabs in at one point before. So I was interested in seeing how this was going to turn out. Now, considering I do have 7 different wrasses in here that could murder all these hermits, I want to give these guys the best opportunity to get right to work. So instead of just dropping them on the sand bed and just kind of watching them struggle to try to get on the rockscape, especially considering my rockscape is floating above the sand bed, really it's not too many ways for them to really climb up there. So figured I would just introduce them straight to the point. I dropped a few on the main archway, dropped a few on the left side, dropped a few on the right side. And I think this is going to be the better way of introducing hermit crabs, at least in my system, to try to, help them survive the night and the day, or at least long enough to get some things done. Now, I also added something else, if you guys are paying attention. It's finally time to add some testers to the Be Easy Reef. Now that we have nutrients back in check, and now that we're kind of on the bounce back, the tank is looking a lot healthier. It's time to finally put some test SPS, and hopefully, if all goes well, these things will, open the doorway for me to finally reload that SPS arch that's been void for the last few months, and then finally complete the ultimate plan for the Be Easy Reef. So this is definitely exciting times, especially using this little squiddly grabber. I was able to kind of rescue a few hermits that fell off the rockscape, put those guys back in place. But overall, the master plan is back in full effect. So as you guys know, I'm going to keep you updated, and we're going to see how things end up going. So upon further inspection, after these guys have kind of been in the tank for a few minutes, I was surprised to see there were not, hiding in their shells like they normally would be on the sand bed. Adding up to the rock work, these guys started getting right to work. I mean, they literally are picking algae off, corals, off rocks, off whatever they can find. Even the urchins are kind of chilling out. I mean, I think this just may work, or it may not. And I'll wake up to dead bodies everywhere, but we're going to find out. I'm hoping that the amount of hermits I've added is going to be the key, especially with their little, arms and legs picking at the rock work, picking at the little hair algae before it gets too long. Should help me out, along with the turbo snails, trochus snails, and the Molly Miller blenny, and the tangs. So I have a bunch of different things cleaning the tank, and when you add me scrubbing it with the Be Easy toothbrush, we should be good to go. Now, I know some of you guys are probably already thinking this, but for those that are new, there is one last part of the cleanup crew that is very important to the Be Easy Reef, and it's going to be the copepods. I add these monthly, and if you're interested in grabbing some, feel free to use the promo code BEASY for 15% off. I get these monthly from Algae Barn. Definitely plenty of pods in my system. And with me reloading this monthly, I have no doubt I'm always going to have plenty of pods to help out with the algae and detritus. Now, when it comes to nutrient management, there's something I want to share with you all, and it's going to be the algae scrubber is finally starting to grow on the screen. If you remember the last video I showed you a couple of weeks ago, I had too many lights on. Starting this scrubber off, you're supposed to start off with one light first, and once I turn it down to one light, the screen's starting to get covered, and we'll slowly ramp this up. And I have no doubt that this is going to be a major key to keeping phosphates and nitrates in control of my tank. And now that we're back underneath the tank, let's finally address the calc stir situation on the Be Easy Reef. If you guys recall, a few months ago, I added this custom 3D printed calc stir. It's actually not even on the market for sale yet. It's a guy named 3D Reefing on Instagram that designed and built this himself. He sent me out one to test out, and for the most part, it's been working great. The only issue I found is it was losing solution concentration a little too fast, so I was having to refill it with calc. Wasn't sure if it was the size of the unit, so I'm going to try upgrading it to the Avast K1 calc stair. It's almost 3 to 4 times the size of the one I'm currently using, which means it's going to be able to hold more calc and hopefully hold a stronger solution for longer. The goal of a calc stair is to limit your maintenance, meaning, instead of filling up a 5-gallon jug every few days, you fill this up and then it should last you 3 or 4 weeks. Unfortunately, mine, it was a tight fit and the Helio's heater was a little too close. I'm not sure if a heater can actually melt acrylic being underwater, but that thing was 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch away, and it just was not feeling comfortable for me. So I had to go through here and fish this through, and ended up placing it in the bubble trap in between the weir of the refugium and the return section. Just kind of set it in there for now. And the more things I add and the more things I change, the worse the wires look down here. So I'm gonna have to remedy that later. Now, one thing I do want to share with you all, the Kalkwasser I'm using is going to be the one from Avast, and I did notice a difference on this powder compared to the Brightwell Calc Plus 2 that I was using previously. This powder is a lot thinner and lighter, so I'm not sure if that has a lot to do with how it works or how long or how strong it is, but I'm not, instead of me asking the question, we're just going to test it out and see how it works on my tank. I'm interested in seeing just how long I can go in between, adding calc to this larger stair versus the smaller one. And if it ends up being the same, then, it just lets you know that size doesn't really matter when it comes to calc stairs. So as you guys can see, it is working just as intended. It's being fed by the Simply Aquatics dosing pump every hour for 24 hours. Have it set to around 50 or 40 or so milliliters for now, and then we will adjust it as the time comes. So as you guys can see, the Be Easy engine is still running, still working. Still need to get in there and do some better wire management, but so far so good. I'm really enjoying this build so far. Definitely enjoying the work. So let's take a look back up top on the Be Easy Reef and just kind of enjoy the fruits of the labor that we've done so far, which is a lot. I can't lie to you guys. This tank, every time I feel like I'm just going to sit back and not do anything, of course, a new opportunity comes for an equipment upgrade or future automation or, different things to tinker and improve the system. And that is part of the hobby that I actually enjoy. It's not just about corals and maintaining livestock and things for me. I enjoy the technology side of the hobby. The new gear that's coming out, specifically the Trident MP, is something I'm looking forward to. The new Neptune dose. I mean, any and every way I can try to expand the system and potentially make things easier, I'm gonna be happy to do that. So as you guys are watching my updates and you see me, building things from scratch, or water change closet stations or automatic water change systems, upgraded calc stairs, automation, all of those things are things that I enjoy adding, but it does not necessarily mean you have to have it if you're new to the hobby. So just remember that as you're watching my build series and you're watching, this tank progress and some of the plans we have. These are things that, maybe not necessary, but definitely are helpful if you can, have the time or the money to add it. Now, if you stuck around to this point of the video, you definitely are the MVP. So do me a favor, smash the like button, hit the subscribe, notification bell, all of those things, because this is the point of the video I was telling you at the beginning, a major surprise in the form of a giveaway. Right now, in the comment section, we're going to be giving away a brand new Avast K1 calc stair, the exact one that I have on the Be Easy Reef, free from Avast Marine and CJ, straight to your door. So how do you win? Very easy. Whatever comment you was going to make anyways on this video, just drop a # Be Easy on the end of it, and then that will automatically enter you into the giveaway. I'm going to let this video run for either a week from the time I post it or until this video hits 400 likes. Whichever happens first, I'm going to automatically go through and pick a comment at random and tag you at the top of the comment section, pin your comment, I will include my email. All you have to do is reach out to me, send me your shipping information, and then we will get it out to you. So that's easy, guys. You don't have to do anything besides just keep on doing what y'all do. Supporting me, supporting the channel, supporting, all the hard work I'm doing as far as bringing you guys this content, just using my iPhone 13. I don't use a computer, guys, for those that are curious. Just straight phone and just editing and uploading. So I appreciate you guys, and I'm glad to be able to try to give back some kind of way, any kind of way I can, to any other subscribers that have been with me this whole time. So with that being said, recap: video hits 400 likes or 1 week posting, I will pick a comment down below. Just make sure you include #be easy, because that lets me know that you stuck around to the end of the video as I requested, and you're gonna get rewarded. So at this point, if you want more content or more updates, swing by CJ's Aquariums on Instagram. I update there pretty often. It's also an easy way to reach out to me as far as direct message. And then everyone else that's just on YouTube, you guys know the drill. You guys can like, comment, subscribe. You guys can keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing. Peace.